Nikki, welcome to us. It's morning. I'm sure it's in the afternoon for you over there. It's just coming along well, Nikki. It's in two pieces now. We have this assembly here, I'm about to pull out, and then this assembly here, and this kind of got to weave through here to go back in. It's tricky to. Sorry if there's feedback. Turn that off. My feed is like different, Thanks. My feed is a little different than it usually looks on here. I don't know. Trying to take it a little slower today, guys. So a couple of spots I got to fix on this piece here. Some places where there's joints. So let me take. Well, I might leave that assembly in for now, so I remember where it is. And some of these spots where I have joints, I'm gonna take this very, very thin, almost veneer thin cherry, and I'm gonna take a piece of it and glue it up. And it should mask those little spots if I can get it on there properly. Don't want to use too much, don't want to use too little. Get in a little bit more there. A little bit of sapwood on there. I'm thinking maybe darker piece like that. It's gonna need a lot of glue too. I think I brought my glue in yesterday, but I got some out here. Dances with Aardvarks. Good afternoon. It's morning for us, but good afternoon to you. Oh, thank you. Dances with Aardvark says it reminds them of baskets woven from hazel. That's cool. There was some weaving on it, I can tell you that. So I'm gonna have to use over it like a lot of glue here. This is where it gets tricky because if you just glue so much, kind of defeats the purpose, which is you're trying to cover up a little pock mark basically. Basically kind of like a default veneer is what happened, when I was using a bandsaw. These little pieces sometimes come off when I'm cutting edges off. I don't think there's enough glue back there. My other glue bottle inside. Gotta have glue on that side there. There we go. That should do it. Yeah, I don't know where Heather's at right now. She may still be getting ready. No, I see it popped off down here, so we got that problem. Morning, Wes. I'm on the mend. I think it's so rainy and cold here, man. Yeah, it was a rough couple days, and I did my running today. Uh, so yeah, thanks for asking. I think I'm getting a little better. Like I said, these two different assemblies here. I got one assembly here that I made, and I did some joinery here also. Didn't just glue stuff. I wanted to make sure that the fits were tight. But this fits best right there. That's the spot I want it in. I may keep it dry like that. We got small wood lot in here today. Good morning. Go get the little sanders. I want to take some of these rough edges off. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Wes said not the best weather for illness. Glad to hear some progress. Yeah, thank you. Wherever I see little like bandsaw marks and stuff, I'm gonna try to make them as. Whoops, I lost one of those. I'm gonna have to clamp that from the inside. And I do not think there's enough glue up there either. There isn't. This is a very, very thin piece of wood here. I'm trying to use it to fix this mark that Heather showed me yesterday. It's not really sightly, so I want to make sure I have I at least try to cover it up. But welcome everybody. I'm glad to have you. Appreciate you being here. Could have been anywhere in the world and you chose to be here, and so I'm so appreciative of that. Got a lot of stuff to do here. I got these curved pieces that I'm going to add on. I got one to pull out of the little die or whatever you want to call that thing, mold. Stands up pretty well. I'll probably be on for a while. I don't know. Wes might be out of work because of the weather today too. I'm not going to be here next Monday and Tuesday, so I may stream a little bit longer on account of that. You gonna hang out on the long run, Pat? Think about adding that vinegar to the steam water. It brought the tannins out in the wood, so you have these. And it doesn't bother me very much, but it did. What they call it, ebenize the wood. It's not like it's coloring it; it's actually chemically reacting with the tannins, and so it's not really something. If you're upset by it, you're gonna have to get used to it because it's in and not on the outside. I'm just trying to get the streaks, minimalized. Oh, welcome, Craig from the UK. Good morning. Good afternoon to you, I'm sure. Tom, welcome. Plywood. Well, appreciate that light, man. Mainly off grid. Good morning. Good morning. It was funny. I was in Wes's chat yesterday for a moment when I saw um, Lines come in, and Lines, of course, Craig, you're from the UK, and Lines is from the UK, so you greet each other like soccer hooligans or football hooligans. Oi, Greg, oi! I love that. It's funny, but also cool at the same time. There is a tree in England that I was reading about yesterday. The Bowthorpe oak. Maybe I need to do my diction exercises today. This tree is pretty amazing. The inside, it's hollow. The inside of the tree has had dinner with 20 people inside of it, with tables and everything. That's how big this tree is, 40 feet wide. Bowthorpe oak. Nowadays, the people that run the farm will let you take a tour of it. You got to pay for it, though. They don't let you walk around the tree. Happy to have everybody here working on this, what do you call it, abstract piece right now. Just practicing my wood bending. I am pretty much at a point where I kind of know what it takes to bend a piece of hardwood. Um, kind of, it doesn't mean I have done it correctly, but I know what it takes. I guess that's the best way of saying it. Make the molds, apply the molds. It seems it's a very difficult process, similar to learning how to do something in other woodwork professions, because woodwork is an umbrella of different professions. Yeah, 40 foot in diameter. Oh yeah, why would you cut one down like that? That was over. Yeah, it was. This one is it's over 1,000 years old. Why would they have you cutting one down like that? That's horrible. Yeah, there's one. Gosh, where is this tree? It's in a different region of England. That's bigger, but it's a hollow also. But it's kind of split in three parts, unfortunately now, because it's probably about 2,000 years old. This one oak, and it's not as you look like three trees to a lot of people. It's one tree. Came down in a storm. Makes sense. Dances. Yeah, it's not your fault. Yeah, a big tree like that, it's kind of hard to believe it can come down in a storm. But if it splits down the middle, or it's got big limbs that are carrying a lot of weight and get bogged down, I can see that. We have a few old oaks in the states that predate our pre-Columbian, predate our colonization by a long ways. And we have other trees too, cypress trees in the U.S. that are 2,000 years old too. But they're not as well taken care of here. I think they kind of leave them. I knew of a couple myself when I was growing up. I always noticed a big old tree. It wasn't something that I passed by without taking notice. When I was little, I found this grove. Hmm. I think they were sweet gum trees, but they would have been red gum at that point because they were hundreds of years old, these trees. And the trunks were, 15 or 20 foot wide, all in a row, weirdly, all in a row. I could probably go to that spot and still find those trees there to this day. There's a weird spot up there. Anyways, welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it may be to you, wherever you are in the world. I appreciate you being here. Appreciate all my members because that's how I exist. I'm going to try to go through this piece and find anywhere there's a right angle and get rid of it because I want this thing to have like a organic look, and there are no right angles in nature. So I want to kind of get rid of any possible right angles that there are or anything that looks kind of like a right angle. That piece will have to be kind of sanded down there. And we'll see if that works. I like the stability that if I add that piece there, that it gives a little balance too. Get back to live. Now I want to go through and see any spot that I see little lines. I'm going after it. I can take that out though. And I don't know, I might use the tung oil on this as well. Hold up. I'll put that in upside down. I like it the way it is, like this. But yeah, that was correct. Now, where I have these little notches cut for kerf bending, I can use that to my advantage because I can cut new joints as well in there. I sat with this piece for a long time and just kind of let it marinate. Really just trying to let the idea, what concept I'm trying to, what vibe I'm trying to get, just really get through and not force it. Maybe what I like this one here. Could be tricky to get it there. Wouldn't be tricky to put on a piece like this, right? Below it. I could figure a way to do that, but I don't like that much. I set this piece on the table yesterday, and Heather and I looked at it from different angles. There is a particular angle that I like its presentation, like the audience to approach it from, but they're not always going to see it that angle. So busyness is okay. Yesterday, I kind of established a rhythm in there. Like a photograph, a piece of art should have a little bit of rhythm to it. Kind of looks lack of rhythm. Something's wrong right now. No, this is not the lumber aisle at Home Depot. This is Dad's workshop, and this wood is bent on purpose. There goes my Home Depot sponsorship in the future. I was definitely going to get that. Well, this was feeling really sharp the other day, and I didn't do a lot of work with it, so I don't know why it feels duller today, but it could have to do with that leverage. I don't have any leverage right now. I don't want to get rid of all the right angles because we don't have right angles in nature, really. Curves and other angles sometimes, triangle like shapes, but no right angles really. When we timber frame or we frame traditionally, with the idea is to actually, you're creating those right angles out of curved structural members, so it's kind of tricky, actually really tricky. I have a great deal of respect for some of that stuff I've seen now, especially having tried to work with the curves. Also got some LEDs that I'm gonna make a fixture with today. We're just gonna make, it's gonna be like kind of like a Christmas decoration. We're just gonna laminate these what you call it, these bent pieces I made over the last few days. Some of them look pretty rough. So they're gonna have to have glue and sawdust and stuff put into them, and then I'm going to paint them. I'm not a big fan of doing that to wood, but in this case, I think it's a necessity. And then we're going to put these LED light strips on them. They look pretty powerful, man. Kind of scared, actually. Let me get to the bottom of this chat. I know there's got to be more chat, right? Maybe not. Well, welcome. Have a good day. And if you are on your way in or out and popping through, I'm not leaving. I'm here. My name is Calvin. This is Dad's Workshop. Let me back the camera. Let me move the camera a little bit so you guys got a little bit better perspective. It's totally not the way it looks on my screen. Interesting. Thanks for the likes, folks. Keep tapping that like button. If you have not done so yet, please do that for me. That's how YouTube knows how to allocate views and stuff, is by that. And then there's a number of crafters and members in here that you should check out their channels too if you have a chance. Wes and Plywood and Craig, you got content, right, Craig? I did pop through Pat's channel yesterday, Small Wood Lot. If you do, you can go ahead and drop the link to your channel. I don't mind it. What we got? Carrie, welcome. It's very early for you. Welcome, Carrie. Hopefully you got your cup of coffee. Pretty early over there. Shout out member Carrie. I am feeling a little bit better. Little by little. I'm glad you got your coffee. After I make this piece attachment, I'm going to take those 4 bent pieces I've made over the last several live streams, and we're going to actually laminate those together and make a base, a sturdy base. And this is not going to be about joinery. It's going to be about what's the most sturdy base we can make. And I got some larger scraps in here, laminated 2x4s and such that we could probably use for a base. And then I'm either going to run the lighting strips up it and then run them back down the other side and see if I can continue that route without cutting the lighting strip, or I'm going to, yeah, I'm glad you caught me, Carrie. Carrie said, I just wanted to make sure I caught you this morning. But let me go back a second. Plywood said hi to Aardvarks. Wes said hi to Craig. This is how we do here. This is waking up in the crafting community here. Wes said hi to Plywood. Plywood said mainly off grid said hi to Plywood. Mainly off-grid, small wood lot. Said hi to small wood lot, Pat, and plywood said hi to Wes, and you know how that goes around here. We're just all being friendly. So it's a good morning. Tuesday, I know today's not Friday, tomorrow's not Friday, and the day after tomorrow's not Friday. Sorry for reminding you, but you know, uh, we do the best we can here, keep our heads up, and we'll see the light at the end of the tunnel. If you wonder why my phone's sitting out in front of me, that's how I can follow the chat. Now, a couple places I could put this, and for rhythm's sake, either, it's like a piece of music, right? Music has to have two abstract concepts, unity and variety. So you got to have one thing that unites the piece of music. Then you got to have things that break it up, that add, variation, things that are chaotic, that are different. And if you can get those two elements balanced properly, then you have a nice piece of music. I think the same goes for art or photography. Something chaotic and something rhythmic. This looks like a snap right here. Now, I don't want to start any of these pieces really. There's only the real thick curved pieces that I start halfway through. If they're doing circumferential type thing, I have them going that way. Otherwise, I'm going to start these pieces from the bottom. Thanks. Yeah, I really spent some time yesterday, like sitting around, putting it in different orientations, and trying to find the one that I felt like best suited the piece. And I like that right there, really. Wonder if I can get after this. First of all, I wonder if this cherry strip I put on here is dry. Hasn't been on very long. So I want this one down here, I think. But I've got a good balance, right? It sits up right now as we have it. I think maybe I'll let that dry up and then work on the other piece for a little bit. Plywood said, "Hi, Carrie. Good early morning." Yes, for Carrie, it is like 5:30 a.m. right now, or 6:30 a.m., which not too early for me, but it's early for a lot of people. I get it. I wonder if I like that one there too. Hmm. Yeah, I want those. Those are going to be in this general vicinity right here. I think that's where those are going to be in their final place. It might be that I actually use this piece to kind of cover that little mar spot right there. Let me turn the piece around if I can get this clamp to turn around without popping off. It's like one of my glue ups kind of popped off right there. So this little spot right here, we have a glued up joint, and I covered it with kind of like a thin piece of cherry right here that bent readily. And I think that if I put these new pieces or the pieces I have now in an orientation like this, and I already wanted them kind of like this anyways, to bring that energy inward to the piece. And then this would kind of take the eye away from that spot, which I'm not too proud of. Like it doesn't look great. So if we can get that piece there, and essentially maybe there's a couple other spots like that I need to look for. Probably this one over here somewhere. So any of the glue joints, I try to use as very little glue as possible on this whole piece. Uh-oh, got a new mail call video from Plywood. Plywood's always getting mail. Smokes, good morning. Sorry to hear you've been dealing with trolls, man. Saw a couple of the posts that you had or responses you had, comments. And trolls. But you know what that means. It means you're doing something, right? That means you're doing something. Calling him out discreetly. I don't know how much discretion there was in that, but that is the better part of valor, as I understand it. Yeah, man, I don't have that better part of valor, I guess. I'm not good with the discretion. I like that one there too. I might cut out these little chunks here. But right now, actually, I've been wasting time playing around with these. I'm gonna switch over to my other piece for a minute. We'll set this over here. Got my 3 potential additions. Now, I may create an assembly with these. That's also an idea, to create a joint assembly with these, and then bring that assembly to the main body of the piece. I'll do that. All right. So now I got to take all of these and I got to go do kind of a messy job, which is glue and sand these until I don't see many more cracks. And basically we're creating sawdust to fill in the cracks as we're sanding. Now the other way to do it would be use 2-part epoxy and just fill in the cracks with epoxy, but I don't know if I really want to do that. Maybe the move though. Wonder if you can you paint over epoxy resin? I don't have a lot of experience with it. Lamp week on YouTube. Yeah, well, this is definitely going to be a lamp here for sure. But I got to make sure that it doesn't look sloppy when it goes. See, I got these chunks of stuff missing right here. Put my apron on because it's going to be dusty here. Oh, okay. Welcome back there, Pat. Yeah, maybe epoxy resin is the move if you can paint over it. If you can't paint over it, somebody let me know. Can you paint over epoxy resin? Question of the day for me. Don't have a lot of experience with that stuff. It's not my favorite material. I do have a bunch, but glad to have all of the fam in here. There are a lot of the fam. It's not all the fam, but can't never hardly get. It's just like real life. Do you get everybody in your family in one place at one time? Do you want everybody in your family in one place at one time? Care about that. Both my parents come from families with many siblings, as I'm sure many people who have boomer parents um, can relate to. And I think that waters down love, man. There's no question. And so you got this weird dynamic of um, people who have, um, yeah, you can disagree with this. I'm sure there'll be people who disagree with this. People who have, you know, 2, 3 kids, showing them the same amount of attention as if they had 8 or 9 kids, right? You basically like, here's your key, here's a check for whatever you need. Take care of your little sibling. I'll see you at 9 o'clock. That was my childhood, or whatever. You know, when you only have 2 or 3 kids, it's not hard to spread that love amongst those kids. So, the point I think I'm making is, when I was little, I thought families were. I was wanting to have a lot of siblings because I was always kind of a lonely kid, man. I was always outside, and other kids had a lot of video games and stuff inside. I didn't really have that stuff. And even if I did, maybe I think I'd probably still be outside. And I just thought families were the greatest, and I had the greatest one. You know, you learn as time goes on. Nobody's perfect, of course, and I'm not complaining. I'm trying not to complain here, but I definitely, um, how to say this? I think in my life, I really had a pure way of looking at the world until I didn't anymore. And once I started looking at it and realistically, it's like a convert to a religion. You know, they're always the most fervent. My new converted religion was that I didn't have the greatest family, and um, all of my resentments. Like I was just a hug every aunt and uncle and love everything about every one of them until I realized it's campy. It's like not campy, but it's like tribal with families. My mom and her siblings don't have equal love for each other. They have other siblings they're closer to. I don't know and care about any of that politics stuff, right? It's like they pick a side. And anyway, a lot of boomers had kids because they were told they were supposed to. And then they told us what we were supposed to do. They didn't necessarily tell us to have kids. A lot of them were like, nope, don't have kids if you don't want to. But they told us this was the route. You go to school and you do well. If you don't, good luck. I mean, that's already like you've lost if you didn't do well in school. After that, you know, good luck to you for the rest of your life, unless you go to trade school, and that's like school too. So there's no room for different kinds of people. And I think I'm realizing now that one of my sons is quite a bit like me, and it's tough because I want that conventional happiness for my kids. Mike, welcome. Smoke said, "How doth it occur yonder?" Smallwood Lot said, "I'm the youngest of 6. When the family is all together, from my father all the way to his great grandchildren, all 5 generations, we are called the herd. 190 people total. That's a lot of people, man. That is a herd, man. you could actually do need to be careful no one yells fire at a family reunion. Yeah, I think I got 17 first cousins on one side, and I've got, like, I don't know, some similar number on the other side too. I would have more, but one of my uncles was tragically killed when he was 14 on a bicycle accident, and so there would be more. He was the eldest son and the most charismatic child in general. Uh, so he would have certainly. I mean, it's pretty easy to say he would have probably procreated. Kind of a weird way of looking at it, but yeah, it is a fact. That's correct. Smoke said, always support your children in their dreams. It's their life, not yours. It is so hard for people to separate their own interests from the interests of the people around them. It's incredibly difficult. They even try to do it. Often, most people can't completely do that. And that's why, kids need things like guidance counselors and other adult mentors, because sometimes the advice that they're going to get from a family member is going to be a little bit selfish, especially when you're talking about generational poverty, because it's not even really selfish. It's just because the family is the value, right? So like, you don't have value in money, you don't have value in stuff, really. Your value is in humans. And so when you lose one of those people to the world, it makes your family feel less rich, because to like generate the family and generational poverty. And I can tell you, really, that's like probably definitely the case for 3/4 of my grandparents. One of my grandparents came from a wealthy background, but he wasn't very good at maintaining that. Didn't work out. Wes said, parents see further down the road. The goal is to make the child's life, quote, easier, but the kid can't see that yet. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, Shmoke said, my dad can still not wrap his mind around my thing. I can 100% relate to that. It is very, very hard for like my folks to understand anything besides working for a time exchange for money situation, right? You exchange your labor, you exchange your time for money. It's what we call coin operated life. I give you this amount of time, which is a non renewable resource to me, right? My time I never get back, in exchange for this amount of money, which you give me, which is a renewable resource, but is also a limited resource. So I give you this amount of time, you give me this amount of money. The time I can't get back, the money, it's limited, so I use it. I spend it on a pair of shoes. Therefore, I just spent 2-3 days of my life that can never come back to me on that pair of shoes. So it's an exchange of time for money, and a lot of people have a hard time envisioning the world in any other way, especially from this capitalistic um, kind of place we live in. It's all absolutely. How many times do you see people go on live streams and tell people to get a job, right? Get a job is one of the biggest insults that you see thrown around all the time. Get a job. If they are a loser, they don't have a job, right? I did never went without a job for, God forbid, for so many years, 20 years more. I always had a job where I was on a W-2 and had an employer. And then, and I haven't had somebody can tell me that get a job. It probably wouldn't hurt my feelings too bad. Right, right. Wes said you can calculate time/money. It's security for some. Fair point. It's tough because then, I've heard this argument before. You got a job, or right, you calculated time for money, right? And you want this car, you get this beautiful car, which we all know cars are not the best investment. Now, it can be your hobby. I'm not looking down on somebody who enjoys cars. But cars as an investment off the lot, they lose value immediately. As soon as they drive off the lot, the depreciation happens. Taking them around their test lap, depreciation happens. But you get this beautiful car that you worked so hard for. You exchanged your time for money to get this beautiful car, and then you use it to go to work every day. And by the time Friday comes around, you maybe get a couple hours of actually using this car, other than for it to be your daily driver that takes you back to the job that you used to get the car. Kind of a circle. Okay, yeah, I'm not arguing with taking care of a good vehicle and making sure that the value holds to the best of your ability. Pickup trucks have the best resale values, so that's a little bit different. Those are big metal trucks. Yeah, I can't argue that point. Chevy investment portfolio. So I'm going to take some of this glue and apply it to this thing. And I think I got enough kind of sawdust kicked up to the surface here. Now, the thing about glue is that glue shrinks, and like epoxy resin does not. So like if you want to fill in gaps, you're probably better off with an epoxy resin, right? And I'm not a big fan, as you all know, and I've said that. So I'm probably doing some. I probably should just go get my epoxy resin off the shelf. And can somebody answer my question? Can you actually can you glue over epoxy resin? I mean, not glue, paint. Can you paint over epoxy resin? It's not a quiz question. I actually want to know. Yes, you got to prime it first. Is that right? I don't know if I have primer. Might be glue then. Glue and sawdust then. Got to believe they're using this curve bending for, or they use this for traditional shipbuilding. I got to believe that they were doing that. Makes sense they would. I just want to be relatively smooth here. What is it? Potato. Oh, let's go back a second. Oh. Smoke said, I've lost everything more than once to someone else being in charge of my income. Yeah, and I used to say to people, like, people jump off bridges because they lose everything, and financially, right? Stuff like that. Usually they'll say there's more than one reason. There's never like one reason for that. They'll say, oh, he lost everything. He was at the casino. He blew all his money. And now he's jumping off a bridge. But it's probably not that simple. A lot of people financially have been ruined and then rebuilt themselves. It is possible. They're, permanent solution to a temporary problem. But that's what it makes me think of. Financial ruin is not the end. Like, for some people, it's like a good beginning because you're like, you know what? There's probably time to start fresh anyway. Bankruptcy is not, it's not the. I know people have been bankrupt twice. I don't know. I'm sure you guys do too. May not be me because I think some of these folks are maybe a little more skilled. I was thinking about it yesterday that, you're a union worker or whatever for 20 years and you kind of are out of the work world and you see people just kind of skating by you. It gets difficult because you're like, what do I do to make that kind of money, or what do I do in general just to make the money to live? I want to stand this here. This looks rough. That's not bad. That's kind of the finish I'm looking for there. This soft is, I don't want this to be all ragged looking. It's going to be a little ragged. It's going to look like sprigs of grass, basically. And I'm going to cut the tips off a little bit. I don't want it to be sharp, so if kids run around, they don't bump into it and get hurt. Seems to be working, and it worked on another piece I did too. Let me back the camera up so y'all can see a little better. What I'm trying to do is fill these little gaps in when I cut kerf, so the view on my camera looks totally different. Yeah, that HVAC, that's a good skill to have. I did pizza delivery too for a minute. Pizza as in you made it, owned a restaurant, or did delivery. Wes does it. Say, yeah, Schmoke, I can deliver. I can deliver newspapers if stuff goes left. Well, I've checked the print media. It's been struggling a little bit recently there, Wes. I think he probably knows that. That was the irony of the statement, I guess. Now, like, the New York Times has to make their money off the puzzlers. Same with the Washington Post. I turned the news apps off on my phone. I can't with this stuff. Every phone I have with the app has been the news app they want to like throw on there, and by default has all been silenced. So I'm gonna take this piece and do the side here and kind of go over the side. Sell AOL subscriptions. Do Cutco cutlery, door to door. Sharpen people's knives. Sell encyclopedias. Mike says that shouldn't be a part of how to explain yourself as a person. Probably based on something that was said a couple minutes ago. I would have to look at that. Small wood lot. Pat says there isn't much I can't do if things go left, including providing for my family without income. I have been there before for 6 years, completely off grid and almost underground, in a good way. Definitely, I'm all about that, man. Survival skills are pretty important. All you need is a composting loo and a water source, water cistern. Actually, if you have a water cistern, you can collect water up a hill from your place, hopefully, if you have a hill, and you can generate electricity, hydroelectric electricity, in addition to solar. If you set up a, what do you call it? What do we call those things? It's a mill, and it's a water mill, but basically it's a series of wooden channels. The water comes down, and you control the flow of it. There's a big gate. You pull the gate up, lets the flow of water through. It's a traditional milling technique. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to line these bottoms up. I don't want it to be super wide. And it's going to be irregular. I'm okay with the irregular bends. I'm going to use every piece that I made, ideally. I might have to go over this with some epoxy, though, because there's so many gaps. So many power ideas. Yeah, solar. They've got windmills that'll go from, urban style windmills. It'll take wind from any direction. Yeah, you are not your job title. Your way to make a living does not define you. It defines how you express who you are. I agree. So that's the part I missed. Sorry, Mike. That I knew it was meaningful. I agree 100% with that. Yeah, this one's a little, this is touch and go here. We got a little gap. This particular part of this kerf bend here made it vulnerable, so it could break if I don't reinforce it here. Get some glue into this gap and let that set. Pretty sure I already did that, but I'm gonna try it again. I want to thank all my members for being here. Remember, membership, just a click away. Today is open chat. I try to do a members only chat at least a couple times a week. Subscriber only chat. Small Woodlot said, took care of my niece and her family. I just started out in the mountains of Colorado, completely off the land, shelter, food, everything. Yeah, I got to find my hunter safety card around here, man. Had that a couple days ago. Don't know where I set it. That's kind of a pain in the butt to replace. Just made me think of that this morning. I was thinking of that. Wes said, everyone have a great day. Time to hit this traffic. I'll be listening in. Don't forget to tip your wait staff, please. Of course, always tip your waitress. Always tip your waiter or your server, whatever they want to be called. Also, you can contribute to this channel. It's another way to spend your little pennies. Become a member and get member status here. Me always fawning over you all the time. It's part of the member benefits. You see how I fawn over these folks. We don't ever argue. All we do is fawn. What do we got here? Oh, thank you so much, Mike. Oh, and welcome in Mike Langford. Looks like Mike Langland received a membership. Resonating Art by Amy M. Perry the Carving Wizard and Keith Shuck. All great people, man. All great people. Oh, thank you for the T fund there, Wes. Shout out. Mike and Wes. Appreciate y'all. I don't know if I have a couple of drumsticks to do some drum rolls with, but I am super appreciative. Let me see if I can find something here. Whoops. I need to do that. A little clumsy. Thanks for that application to the T fund there. Let me see if I can do it maybe I just do a little not as good as smoke hand drum roll. I need my little mini djembe over here though. I don't know where the heck that is. Hopefully I didn't put that in a bad place. But we're gonna do a hand drum roll because I don't got nothing else at the moment. I don't even have dowels around. I think I've used all my dowels, guys. Here it is. Hand drum roll. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Wes. Appreciate all of that and the new members. That's great. I'm excited. I know, Carrie. I know only folks that can give. You know, you give if you can. You don't if you can't. Totally understand that. Yeah, my djembe is around here somewhere. I put it down somewhere. Kind of important to me. I need to be more careful with the stuff that's important to me. One of the main lessons I've taken from life. Be careful with stuff, but really, I don't know if that's the main lesson. I want to say thank you to everybody. What I'm going to do is, wow, Mike Osborne received a gift membership. I'm worried about that dude. Hey, Mike, if you're in the gallery and not somewhere else, let me know you're okay. So all of those folks, Mike Langland, Resonating Art by Amy M, Perry the Carving Wizard, and Keith Shuck. And then we have Mike Osborne. So hopefully we'll see Mike Osborne here again. shortly, you know. We'll know he's all right. Yes, that's what all we need, Carrie, is love and energy. And well, yeah. Pretty soon I'm probably gonna need a job, but shout out to those guys, man, for helping me out today. And um, I probably should take a break here. It's really cold and rainy. I got to go check on the house and stuff like that. But I will be back. I'm gonna say around lunchish time. So got to go film. Says Schmoke. Don't be worried. I will be back. I'm going to let this stuff dry. I've got some glue on here. When that stuff dries up, we'll come back and we'll work more on this lamp figure. I got to check on some stuff with what supplies I have here. As far as let me take this horrible apron off. It's not a horrible apron, just I look horrible in it. It's not the apron's fault. Thanks, kids who made me that years ago. We love you too. Shout out to everybody here. Thanks to Mike and Wes for the contribution. Thanks to all my members for continuing to contribute and continuing to be members. That is a contribution in and of itself. Your presence is presence. So I'm gonna stay here till Mike's thing wears off, and I'm gonna back the camera up so y'all can see what I'm trying to do, because Mike has a certain amount of time on that little shout out right there, and I don't want to ruin that. Oh, definitely tap that like button, folks. Tap that like button for sure. All right, so we're gonna take these. I know they look a little ragged right now. We're gonna connect these bases. It's gonna look like grass or cattails or something like that. I'm not too worried about it looking pretty. Or even that elegant. What I want it to do is be bright and different. And these are going to be like blades of grass. I'm going to dowel them through this middle part probably here. Glue that up tight. And then I'm going to create a base down here. Let me move this up here. So these will be somewhat like this. And then I have these LEDs, not LED, is it LED? Yeah, LED cob lights. And they come in these rolls.